How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We just had a pretty bad PPI report showing that inflation's higher than expected, and that already sounds bad, but they went back and revised previous reports, and this is the third month in a row that we've had increasing inflation via PPI. Now, at the same time, the stock market's up today. The stock market in the US, NASDAQ, is up 0.43%. Investors, very famous investors, are saying that we're likely to see a 12% retreat ahead of a big recession. Some people are selling. Jim Cramer says Bitcoin's about to go down. Other people are saying that they're going all in. So is it time to go all in? Is it time to sell? That's a good question here today. And we do have the Bitcoin halving coming up, and we have to look, is this time different? Does it look different so far? We're going to get into all that and why it's really hard to invest very short term in this video. If you like this, hit subscribe, turn that bell notification so you can see future videos just like this one. And while you're down there, check out Bag Tracker AI. This is an app that I'm creating with a few other people so that you can track everything in one place. Your crypto, your stocks, your cash, all your liabilities, see how it changes over time, and you're going to be able to denominate in different cryptocurrencies. So if you're a very excited Cardano investor, you could see your net worth in Cardano over time. You can do that with Bitcoin. You can do that, we're even going to do that with different stock market indices. So check that out underneath the video. All you have to do is pre-register, put in your name, email, and what you want to see, and you'll be able to get in early to this. Now, let's take a look at the market. The crypto market is down slightly. Bitcoin's around $27,100, down a little bit in the last 24 hours. We actually see dominance decreasing a little bit. So I talk about how I think Bitcoin dominance is going to go up, basically meaning Bitcoin's going to become a larger part of the market. That's what we typically see around this time of the year. And that's been the case, but I need to point out when it's trending the other way, even if it's just for a one-day period. If you look a little bit over a longer time span, Bitcoin dominance is moving up, it seems, but to be fair, it is moving down right now. Now, we just got some PPI numbers. The month over month was 0.5% versus the forecast of 0.3%. The previous was 0.7%. So it came in higher than expected. We also got a revision from last month. So August PPI was actually revised up from 1.6 to 2.0. The core PPI was revised up from 2.2 to 2.5. This means that we've had multiple months that have been increases, and this isn't even correct. This 1.6% should be 2%, and we should be even higher for September. So unfortunately, we've had 3 straight increases in PPI after almost a direct line down. Now, at the same time that's happening, though, the US market is green, which is really confusing. This is why it is so hard to try to time things short term. Let's say a week ago, 2 weeks ago, you decide that you were going to put a short on the market. You thought that the market was going to go down. And since then, we had a big conflict with Israel, really big problem for the world, global conflict. We also had bad CPI numbers, or bad PPI numbers. And since then, let's go over the last 5 days. Over the last 5 days, we're actually up 2%. Very difficult to know what's going to happen short term. But if you zoom out over a long enough time period, you can see kind of the direction things are going. And that's something that I pointed out on this chart, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. I've been talking about Bitcoin dominance going up. And while Ethereum has moved up versus Bitcoin over the last day, you can still see that the trend is down. Lower highs and lower lows. If you zoom out even further, you realize that the stock market's most likely going to go up over a long period of time. If you zoom out to 10-year periods, it almost always goes up. But we can have retreats in the short term. So it's probably best to invest for the long term instead of trying to make short-term decisions. Now, this just came out. Stock market likely to see 12% retreat ahead of recession, says trader who called the 87 crash. This is Paul Tudor Jones, very famous investor. He says the stock market typically right before recession declines about 12%. That's probably going to happen at some point from some level. This is probably the most obvious statement ever made, that at some point we're going to see a 12% decline. It's obvious that we're going to crash at some point because there's always going to be a future recession. The problem is you don't know when that's going to be. He says that this is one of the most difficult geopolitical environments that he's ever seen, and so it's difficult to be positive on equities amid this kind of environment. He says This is occurring at the same time the United States is at its weakest fiscal position since World War II. I will point out this is the case, but when you compare it to other countries, we're still doing okay. He says he does like gold and Bitcoin together, both thought of as hard money. So he's basically pointing out that he thinks that the governments are going to print more money, most likely, if he's excited about gold and Bitcoin, which I understand why he'd want Bitcoin in that kind of environment. But in an environment where they're printing money, they also print money, and that helps companies. A lot of people have a lot of money, they go buy stuff. Now, Jim Cramer, on the other hand, says Bitcoin's going to go down big. So is this the time to go all into Bitcoin like some other YouTubers are talking about, or is it time to be scared? Well, obviously, if Jim Cramer is saying to sell, you should probably buy as much as you can. Of course, I'm kidding, but he has been wrong on a lot of positions, basically calling out exactly what's going to happen in reverse. But this is probably a good time to be looking at Bitcoin for the long term. And I'll talk about why that is. There are some things that I think are pretty obvious for where we're going, where Bitcoin's going. They're showing kind of some signs right now of the direction. Now, before we go any further, I want to take a second to thank Defi Bot. Defi Bot is an all-in-one website where you can copy trade. You can use AI trading bots. You can also use their newsroom to get some of the latest news in crypto. It's pretty interesting. They say, why us? Invictus AI DeFi Bot is a product offering what we all thrive for or strive for, and that is true financial freedom. The reason we all fell in love with crypto so many years ago, decentralized, pure, and without any interference. They have reliable results. They actually show some of their track record here on the website. Real-time feedback. Their unique machine learning capabilities adapt in nanoseconds to market conditions in real time. Financial security is something that they focus on. They even say that, they go over that a lot on their Twitter. They also have risk control, simultaneously providing clients with consistent high success rate of trades at any given time frame. Now, it's pretty easy to join. I'll leave links to this underneath the video, so you can do this for free, or you can get a license. You pay an upfront cost, and then you can trade with more capital, basically allowing you to leverage. Now, again, I would make sure that you feel completely comfortable with this before putting $1 towards this license fee or $1 onto the program, onto the platform. So do your own research. Thank you to DeFi Bot for sponsoring this video, and check them out underneath. So what way is Bitcoin going to go? Well, over the long term, I think it's pretty easy to tell. The Bitcoin halving clock is down to nearly half a year. It depends on what website you look at. This says 188 days. This says 161. This says 184. So we're around half a year until the next Bitcoin halving. Now, is this different? With 180 days left before halving events, what typically is the price of Bitcoin? Well, in 2016, Bitcoin was trading at negative 65%. Below its all-time value. So it's basically a third of the value of the all-time high. 2019, Bitcoin was at 60% below its all-time high. And right now, Bitcoin is currently situated at 61% below its all-time high. So this is right on pace for previous cycles. Now, just because this has happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen in the future. It's just an indication. Now, I think that there are a variety of other things that are lining up to show that we probably will print more money in the next year and a half. The Fed will change their policy. They'll break something, and then that will be one of the things that takes us into the next bull run, along with spot ETFs. But this is interesting just to take a look at, that this is exactly where we've been in the past. We also are already seeing other countries starting to print or talking about it. China is planning a new stimulus as their economy continues to worsen. They're planning to raise another at least 1 trillion won of additional debt and raise its budget deficit cap. So we will continue to see more countries print, more countries go into debt, and that's good for hard money like Bitcoin. Of course, there has to be other reasons for you to buy just besides more debt. Like, there has to be more liquidity in the system. There have to be people buying, like large investors buying, because that will drive other people to buy as well. And even just when we look at how much it's covered, I think you can see that the trend is up. In the bear market, last bear market, people weren't really talking about Bitcoin much at all. Now we still talk about it nearly every day. There's still CNBC hosts that are talking about it every single day. There are new events that show up that show why Bitcoin's so valuable. So we'll continue to watch. Again, I'm going to be dollar cost averaging, buying more over time. I'm not planning on selling anytime soon. Now, at some point, I will take profits. That just makes sense to me, to take profits on crypto that you're up significantly on, if it's life-changing money, and putting it into something that's maybe a little less volatile, but you have to make your own decision. Now, I'm also not going all in because I don't think it's smart to go all, quote, all in, put all of your money that's on the sidelines into something. I think it's always important, at least mentally, to keep some money on the sidelines so that way you're not as emotional. But let me know your thoughts underneath the video. Again, check out Bag Tracker AI underneath the video. Also, check out Defi Bot, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.